I was born here in Northfield, grew up here in Northfield, went to the grade schools here in Northfield, and went to Northfield High School, graduated from Northfield High School. Spent 1 year at St. Thomas up in the Twin Cities, and then transferred down to St. Olaf over here. And then I spent my last 3 years in college living at home and commuting up to St. Olaf. I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters. My 3 brothers, I have a brother now that lives in California. He's been there now for maybe the last 17 years. And another brother that lives in Rochester. He used to work for IBM, but now he's retired. And a third brother that lives here in Northfield. It's a long story. After I graduated, I went into the Peace Corps, and I taught mathematics at a secondary school in Tanzania for 2 years. Came back to Minnesota, went to graduate school in Madison, Wisconsin. And after I left graduate school, after 2.5 years of graduate work, worked for the United Farm Workers for a year. That was back when they did the grape boycott. They were doing the grape boycott. I went up to Montreal and worked with the boycott for a year up there. And I came back to Minnesota, went back to graduate school at Mankato, and finished up an MAT, a Master of Arts in Teaching degree in 1971. And then I worked as a substitute teacher up in Minneapolis for a year, worked as a substitute teacher down in southern Iowa for a year. And then I came back to Northfield, and I was looking for teaching positions here. And I sent a resume over to Carleton here, to the math department. And I got a call from the chair of the math department saying that we don't have any teaching positions available, but we do have grant money that we're allowed to hire tutors for the minority students here on campus. And we'd like to hire you as a tutor, a math tutor for the math department. That was back in 1974, 75. Me and one other person in the program asked if we could set up a lab a couple nights a week over in the second floor of Oland to help more students. So Tuesday nights and Thursday nights from 7 till 9 o'clock, we moved the chairs aside in one of the rooms on the second floor of Olin and put some cafeteria tables up in the room, and we had a walk-in lab. And at the end of the term, the math department liked the idea and hired us to establish a tutoring lab. And at the end of that year, the grant ran out, and so the lab closed. I got a call from the dean saying that I think we can find money in the dean's discretionary fund to pay you a salary to run the tutoring lab again. We'll hire student workers. We'll put you on the student work budget here, and we'll get students from the work-study program to work for you as tutors. And that was the beginning of the Math Skills Center. It's to provide walk-in tutoring to anyone who has a question in mathematics and cannot come up with a solution to that question. I love to do aerobics. Well, in 1989, I was invited by a philosophy professor here on campus, doing a staff aerobics class here on campus. She invited me to come to the class, and after going to one of her classes, I just fell in love with it. It was like You know, I love to do fast dancing when we go to parties and stuff like that. And to me, it was like fast dancing without having to worry about sweating.
Right, left, right, left, reach, left, right, left, right, left, reach, left, right.
Well, math has always been my basic area, yeah. But I think that the aerobics part of it sort of rounds me out a little bit. Gives me a more of a social outlet. It keeps me young. And the aerobics it gives me a good physical outlet, so that there's a great balance between working here with, you know, with my mind, and then working with my body as I go to my aerobics class.
Education ain't complete. Just gonna show you how to get an A.